GETTYCorbyns spokesman has refused to say how the Labour leader would vote in another EU referendum. Corbyn campaigned for Remain ahead of the referendum last year, but he repeatedly criticised the bloc during his years as a backbench MP, particularly over its handling of the Greek debt crisis. Now, after Mrs May refused to say how she'd vote in a second EU referendum during a radio interview on LBC as she dismissed the question as hypothetical, a spokesman for the Labour leader has also swerved the question. After being asked 5 times which way Mr Corbyn would vote, his spokesman told reporters after PMQ's Jeremy campaigned for Remain or Reform and he is committed to what he said in that campaign, there is no other referendum. We respect the result of the referendum, so we want to be part of these negotiations. We are interested in a Brexit that puts jobs first. We are focusing on outcomes. Mr Corbyn faced criticism during the EU referendum campaign amid concerns the Labour leader was supporting a cause he did not personally believe in. There is a large amount of evidence for Mr Corbyn's dislike of the EU, with his voting record a key example. Mr Corbyn voted against the Lisbon Treaty in 2008, which is the current constitutional basis for the EU. Jeremy Corbyn speaks during PMQs earlier today. He also voted in favour of leaving the European Economic Community in 1975, and voted against the Maastricht Treaty that created the EU. Explaining his decision to vote against the Maastricht Treaty, Mr Corbyn said it takes us in the opposite direction of an unelected legislative body, the Commission, and, in the case of foreign policy, a policy commission that will be, in effect, imposing foreign policy on nation-states that have fought for their own democratic accountability. After Mrs May's interview yesterday, a number of high-profile MPs have been hit with the same question and many have avoided giving a solid answer. Culture Secretary Karen Bradley, who backed Remain during the EU referendum campaign, repeated Mrs May's refusal to answer hypothetical questions, adding, "There isn't going to be a second referendum." When asked whether she would describe herself as Remain or Leave, she said, "I am part of a government that is leaving, so I guess you would say Leave." Damien Green, Mrs May's right-hand man who campaigned with perseverance for Remain, suggested he would still back staying in the EU if another ballot was held. He said his views on Europe are well known and I don't resile from anything. However, Liz Truss, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, said she would now vote differently. She told BBC 2's Daily Politics programme all of us had to make a judgment on what we thought the future would look like. I made a judgment thinking it would be bad for the economy. Since we have left, it has been more positive, so the facts have changed and I have changed my mind.